Hey everyone, and welcome to Saute with Dijava. This is your host Dushant, and today we are looking at the recipe for a rye flour loaf or rye flour bread. This recipe is quite simple, doesn't have a lot of ingredients. So let's quickly look into the ingredients and how this bread is made. So firstly, we have our bread flour, which is here. The bread flour, it's 340 grams of bread flour, and then I have rye flour here. So that's rye flour, 160 grams of rye flour. I have honey here, which is 30 grams. You can use molasses, you can use even sugar, normal sugar, you can use brown sugar, whatever you prefer. We have salt here, which is 7 grams of salt. We have an yeast pack here. Now the yeast is 11 grams. And we have about 350 to 400 ml of water. This really depends when you are actually kneading the dough as to how much how much water you really require. So let's begin with the recipe. Today I am not using a stand mixer, but I will be kneading the dough with my bare hand. So I just wanted to show this for people who don't have a stand mixer at home, and this will take a little longer, but yes, it's fun to do. You would enjoy it. Also, you might require a little bit of oil, so you can use olive oil or you can use whatever oil you prefer, just a little bit to grease, but do not use it if it's not required. All right, let's start. All right, so before we begin kneading our dough, I would like to suggest a few equipments that should be ready before we make it. So firstly, we would require any kind of a flat plate or a tray if you have. Preferably it shouldn't have any edges. If it's flat, it's better. I have covered this steel plate. This is not for baking, we're just going to use it to place the dough. And I'm covering it with a parchment paper, which I have got to the smallest size possible. So as you can see, I have folded it to a small size that just covers enough of the plate. Also, you would require a scraper, which is this, and you would require a deep bowl in which you would grease the bowl and place the dough for the first proving. So, and of course you need strong hands, arms, everything. Yeah, basically from your shoulders to your fingers, everything's going to be used in making this bread. So let's begin. Okay, to begin with, we need a clean kitchen platform, and we will be dropping our flour. This is the bread flour. You can also use all-purpose flour if you prefer to. It's not necessary to use strong bread flour, but this definitely gives a great texture to the bread. So I'm just going to drop this. Just a quick update that this flour has already been sifted. So here we go. Next up, we'll be mixing in the rye flour. This has also been sifted already. There we go. Now I will be adding in all the yeast, which is 11 grams. You can use any instant yeast here. It requires instant yeast. And next I'll be adding in the salt. Now if you had sugar, you can add it here and you can mix it. If you don't have sugar and you have honey like me, we'll let it be. So I'm just quickly giving it a mix so that all ingredients are incorporated well. Now as you can see, I'm making a well here, not a completely dry well. It definitely has a little bit of flour. Now I'll just be taking the honey. Now as you can see, my hands are already floured, so the honey will easily come off. So there we have it, the honey. Okay. Now I'll add in a little bit of water. Now keep in mind, we have taken more water than that might be required. So start with small batches. Don't incorporate all the water at once. Now slowly keep mixing it and keep pushing in the flour from the sides, keeping in mind to keep the well. Okay, so as you can see, it gets super messy, and that's when the scraper comes in hand. This is just midway, almost half to 3/4 water content I've already used. Now the dough is still not ready, obviously, but I am just trying to scrape off the kitchen counter, and hence you need a very clean and neat kitchen counter with no other obstructions around. If you want to, you can knead it in a big plate, but that's just not easy. It's very difficult. So I would suggest to use the kitchen counter. Alrighty, so I have cleared most of my counter. This was just with the help of a scraper, and now is the time when we knead the dough. At this time you might require a little bit, when I say a little bit, a very little bit of oil. Now I'm taking it on my palm itself so I don't use a lot. So as you can see, just a little, and I will massage my dough as well as the counter. This is next to nothing oil, like not even half a teaspoon to be precise, just so that we get a little bit of the lubrication that's required so that it doesn't stick to the counter. You might require a little oil time and again when you are kneading. So now as you can see my action, how I am kneading the dough in cross. So you would want to knead it to gain the elasticity. We keep kneading it. This is to incorporate the gluten, or to activate the gluten rather. Kneading the dough. You would want to knead it for a good 5 to 7 minutes until we can do the test. You would require it 3 to 4 times, so use very limited amount on each time, otherwise the oil tends to get incorporated with the dough, which we don't require in the first place. So alright, so it's been around 7 to 8 minutes where I have kneaded the dough. Now I would just take a pinch of the dough and I would be pulling it slowly. If you want, you can oil your fingers too if you tend to pull too fast, but I will be pulling it very slowly and gradually to see if my gluten has been generated. So as you can see, this is what it looks like when gluten is generated. Now obviously now I've pulled it too far, so it doesn't show, but yes, you can also do it on your platform. You can just press it down and keep spreading it to see that you created a window. Now as you can see through opaquely through this, and it's not tearing very fast unless I pull it out. See, as you can see, now that I've pulled it out too hard, it tore, but if not, then this was the actual feel. So you can see that you can see through in this, so that means your gluten has been incorporated. Now I will just give it a nice roll, press it down. Guys, right now the yeast is not acted upon, so we can squash it, mush it, whatever we want, but later we would be handling it with care. Now I will just be pulling in all the sides quickly, and once that's done, I will pinch the dough nice. Okay, and now I will flip it. Now the tightening technique wherein I just pull the dough towards me. Now you need to see this action, how I'm doing it. Is tightening the dough. Also, since this is the rye flour, the gluten generated will be a little lesser than our regular all-purpose or bread flour dough. And if you want to change the rye flour, you can use a complete all-purpose flour, or you can also use whole grain flour, whole wheat flour in the same proportion. You can use whatever flour you would like. and mix it up with your bread flour. So you can see now this is a nice smooth texture. Now I will take my pre-greased bowl and I would be placing this here, and now I would quickly cling wrap this, and I will keep it anywhere in the kitchen and let it rise to the double, which would take around 45 minutes. So let's wait and watch. Okay, so it's been say around half an hour, and the dough has already risen to double. Now this bowl is pretty big, as you can see, so it's already doubled. It need not come to the brim. It depends on what bowl you're using. We need a double, so it's come up to a double. Now I am going to remove it from this bowl onto the same kitchen platform where I kneaded the dough. So you can see with ease I removed it on the platform. I didn't punch it down, but now I will press into it, as you can see. So I have pressed into it to make a nice flat dough. Now start tucking it, but this time I'll tuck it slowly and nicely. So I will tuck this and pinch it very nicely to the center. Okay, make it a nice round circle, pinch it perfectly, and once this is done, we will flip it. Okay, and now we bring it closer to us and make the dough ball as tight as possible. We don't want it to be loose at all. So you can see the motion that I'm doing. I'm pulling the dough towards me so that it's getting binded and getting tight. Alrighty, so as you can see, I have a tight, it's super tight dough. Now comes the part where I would be taking the plate or any tray for that matter. Now I'll carefully lift it and I have placed it. Now I'm just shaping it round and nice. Now I will keep it as it is on the counter and let it almost double in size, if not completely double, and then we'll see how we want to how we'll be baking it. At this point you can switch on your oven and heat it at 200 degrees Celsius. Also, on any one of the racks in the oven, I would suggest if you keep a small tray with a little bit of water. This acts as a water injection and gives the nice texture for the bread inside. So just any small tray, baking tray or a plate, if you have something that is oven proof, you can keep it inside, and it creates moisture in the oven, and we'll preheat the oven at 200 degrees Celsius. Alright, so as you can see, the bread has almost doubled. I have preheated my oven at 200 degrees. At this point, I'll be taking in a little bit flour and I'll be dusting it on the bread. This is optional, but if you want to create a design on top of the bread, I would suggest that you do this. Generous amount of dusting, don't be shy. Okay, so now I've dusted the bread nicely. Now I can take any knife, a sharp knife, we don't need a blunt knife, or if you have a blade to score, this process of making the design is called scoring. So if you have a scoring blade, or if you have any regular unused blade or blade used only for food, you can use that and you can create whatever design you want. So I'll just be creating a simple design today, but you need to be very careful as to not pressing it in too deep. You would deflate the dough, and we don't want that. We just want the top skin of the bread and that to be serrated. So here we go. You can create any motif or any design you like, anything that you prefer. I've just made a random design today. You can just make a side cut, or you can do like a tree like with just a single stem and the leaves around. As you wish, you can make any design you like, and you would want to do this when it's almost doubled but not completely doubled, and give it say another 5 to 10 minutes to rise a bit more. This not only helps the bread to have a better texture, but the serrations what you have done right now, they would also be visibly seen, and you would have a beautiful bread. So let's wait for another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we pop it in the oven. Righty, so as you can see that the scoring has been done well, and it has risen nice. Now I'll be placing this bread into a preheated oven at 200 degrees Celsius. As mentioned, I have also kept a small plate of water inside the oven to create moisture. Now this bread will be baked in 3 different temperatures. Firstly, for at 200 degrees for around 7 minutes. Then the temperature will be reduced to 180 degree and it will be baked for 10 minutes. And then if you would like, you can reduce it to either 170 or to 160 degrees depending on how hot your oven is, and you would bake it for another 7 to 8 minutes until the dome is crispy and brown. This indicates that the bread has been baked nicely from inside. So this goes into the oven now. Placing it in the oven, we'll be sliding off this bread carefully using pulling the butter paper and sliding it directly onto the baking dish in the oven. Unfortunately, my oven is too hot and I wouldn't be able to shoot this. So you'll have to carefully pull it from the end and place it directly onto your baking tray, which is inside the oven. If you don't happen to have a baking tray, you would need a large enough tray to place it in the oven, or you would rather just use a tray under this directly. But the best would be keeping the tray inside the oven, as it creates a perfect heated temperature for the bread. Shot from the oven, since it's too hot at 200 degrees, I've placed the plate at the back and the bread is in the oven.